Hugely popular topic this last 12 months, bootstrapping versus funding. Mainly because funding's been nigh on impossible to get. But there's huge differences. I think if you are going to bootstrap a business, and for anyone who doesn't understand what that means that you are either going to use your own money or you're actually going to live off the business being profitable, as opposed to being funded by either angel investors or VCs who are giving you money to build something that you will then sell. And I think, typically companies that are bootstrapped are often services businesses where there's a very low cost to entry, and companies that are VC funded or angel funded are technology businesses where you need to spend a year, 2 years potentially building something before you can even sell it. So, sometimes you just don't have that option. I think what's happened this year, and what probably the best thing for the whole startup scene, is the lack of funding, in that it is requiring founders to look for a way to be profitable. I think the world got a little bit too crazy there, where profitability was just a fantasy. No one really cared about that. It was just build, and ultimately someone will buy us and they'll make it profitable later. That has happened without question, but it's definitely not the norm. And I think the glamorization of building non-profitable businesses to sell for a fortune has finally gone away, which is great. Look, I think bootstrapping, again, there's a huge amount of freedom in this, in that you make all the calls, you make all the decisions. There's no one sort of pushing you to go in a different way. If you want to make any changes, you can. And there isn't what they would call a runway. The term runway is used to define how much time a company has left before the money runs out. And then the term burn rate, which I'm sure everybody knows, determines how much money you're spending each month without actually making any. So how much money you're losing each month, if you like. So a bootstrap company needs to become profitable very quickly to fund its growth. Now, there are limitations in that your ability to grow quickly is not there unless you borrow money, which obviously incurs interest. So the growth tends to be a lot slower, and you can't necessarily jump on every opportunity that comes your way. Good and bad things to do that. Some of those opportunities aren't good ones. Some of them are, so you can miss out as well. But you do tend to build a more robust business early on and probably learn more business skills. VC funded, they need to grow it as quickly as possible because they need to start selling it. So they need big lumps of cash to employ a lot of people, usually technology people or engineers to build something. And then they need more money to go and market it and hire salespeople to go and sell it. And then they've obviously got this huge sort of product that hopefully they can sell quickly and scale quickly and start making money quickly. Now, of course, if you're funded, you don't have to pay that money back. Very different to taking a loan in a bootstrapping scenario. But if you're funded, you have investors who are pressuring you to hit certain targets by certain times to get more funding, which you may need. And there's always the danger that the funding dries up, which is exactly what's just happened. And we've seen a lot of companies, unfortunately, go by the wayside or have to let go a lot of staff and slow down their funding. So you can be a little bit at the whim of both investors and markets. Is there a better way? No, there's not a better way. I think it's horses for courses. If you need money to build something and you don't have it, funding's really your only option. If you've got something that you can scale very quickly, then that's great. I mean, there's an argument for bootstrapping a business to a certain point and then getting funding later. And there's also an argument for going back the other way, where you borrow a lot of money up front and then you start to buy that equity back off those investors or buy them out. So I think the key thing is to look at what's going to work for you, what you're comfortable with. There are big differences in how you will run your business. Be aware of them, look into them, but don't be delusional and believe the funding will keep coming. You will be under pressure to hit certain things. If you can do those things, then the funding will keep coming. But if you can't, then you're in a big danger of losing not only your company and your staff all their jobs, but also the investors' money, which is a horrific loss for everyone. Whereas obviously with bootstrapping, again, you still got the opportunity of losing the company, but it tends to be a little more obvious what's happening, and you can tend to, I guess, control that situation a little bit better by scaling down quicker, because you've got a far more visible view on what's happening in your business as opposed to funding just stopping.